Before you start reading, make sure to subscribe, because this story is not just something you listen to, it's something you feel beneath your skin. The city wasn't loud that night, but it wasn't quiet either. There was this strange balance: cars in distant streets, occasional sirens, the low hum of streetlights vibrating like nervous breathing. I had just moved into this apartment complex 3 days earlier, carrying boxes filled with pieces of a past I wasn't ready to discuss, and memories I wished I could bury. I remember thinking, maybe a new city means a new version of me. But it turns out, the city doesn't change you. The people inside it do. People you're not ready for. People you shouldn't meet. People who aren't meant for you. And yet somehow, destiny delivers them right into your arms. I first saw her in the elevator. I wasn't even trying to notice anyone. I just wanted to reach my floor, drop the grocery bags, and collapse into whatever mattress I had dragged with me. But the moment the doors slid open, she was there. Standing with a soft smile, golden hair hanging loose around her shoulders, eyes searching my face like she already knew me, like she was relieved I finally showed up. She said, "Hi." And I swear, either she rehearsed that one word her whole life, or fate trained her voice to sound like a perfect introduction. "I haven't seen you here before," she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "I moved yesterday," I replied. "Well," she said with a soft exhale, "welcome home." I didn't think anything of it. But later, when I entered my apartment and placed the bags on the kitchen counter, that exact sentence repeated inside my mind like I had heard it somewhere before, long ago, in some alternate life where everything already had a script. Subscribe at 1 minute mark. If you're still reading, make sure to subscribe, because this story only gets darker from here. Her name was Arya. That's what she said later. But honestly, names don't matter until the end. In the beginning, what matters is the smile, the tone, the attention. And she gave attention like it was oxygen, like she didn't breathe unless she was inhaling someone's presence. The next day, I saw her again in the lobby, standing near the mailboxes, pretending to search through envelopes. Except she wasn't checking anything. She was just waiting. For me. I didn't fully realize it at the time, but now that I replay it in my head, every coincidence feels planned. "You're settling in fine?" she asked. "Trying to," I replied. "That's good," she whispered, as if my attempt to exist meant something personal to her. Most people don't adapt here so easily. Then she leaned closer. Too close. Close enough to smell her perfume. Vanilla, almost sweet enough to hurt. "But you look like you were meant to be here." That should have been another warning. But I wasn't in the mood to look for danger. I was lonely. And loneliness doesn't give warnings. It accepts attention like medicine. Every evening after that, I started seeing her near the elevator, near the corner shop downstairs, at the grocery store, even at the rooftop where I used to go for quiet. And every time she would smile the exact same smile, the kind that made you feel chosen. Something about her was comforting, familiar, but unfamiliar in a frighteningly perfect way. Like déjà vu, mixed with prophecy. One evening, she asked, "Do you believe two people can meet exactly when they're supposed to?" I shrugged. "Maybe." She exhaled through a slow, quiet laugh. "I think so. I think sometimes life rearranges itself just so certain souls cross paths." It was poetic, beautiful even. But her gaze was too intense, like she wasn't talking about a possibility. She was stating a fact about us. And then she added softly, "I'm just glad it was you." Days passed, and our meetings became less accidental and more deliberate. She would knock at my door with excuses: a cake she baked, extra tea she made, a movie she wanted to share. I wasn't pushy. I wasn't looking for love. But every time she stood at my door, something strange pulled me in. Not attraction, not curiosity, but familiarity. Like she had already been a chapter in my life I forgot to read. Sometimes she spoke about her past, but only the blurry parts. She never mentioned family, never mentioned friends. And whenever I asked where she lived before the city, her answer was vague. Different places. Different places? Or no place at all. One night, I caught her staring at the hallway window for too long, like she expected someone to show up. And when I asked, "Are you waiting for somebody?" she froze, smiled slowly, and said, "No, I already found what I was looking for." I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt something else. Something warm, something dangerous. Attention. When it becomes intense enough, starts feeling like affection. One evening, I returned late from work. The hallway was dark except for a flickering light near the elevator. My apartment door was slightly open. Not wide, not broken, just open enough to feel wrong. When I pushed it gently, I found all the lights inside turned on. My living room window was open. Cold wind rushed through the curtains like someone had just escaped. There was no one there. But something was. A note placed perfectly on the center of my bed, written in soft handwriting. "You weren't here, so I waited inside." My heart stopped for a moment. Who waits inside someone's home? I stepped back, scanning every corner of the room, every shadow. But there was nothing. No signs of forced entry, no disturbance, like whoever entered didn't enter, like they belonged. And then I noticed something else. My phone was placed differently. My jacket was moved from chair to sofa. Someone touched my things. Someone touched my life. I wanted to storm to her door and ask if she knew anything, but I didn't even know her apartment number. She always appeared around me, but she never showed where she came from. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing faint hums in the hallway. Steps, maybe. Or breathing. Or imagination. Terrible imagination that felt more real than reality. At 2:13 a.m., my phone buzzed. Message from Arya. "Are you awake? I'm thinking about you. Good night." Good night? To someone who might be inside my home hours ago? I should have blocked her number. I should have called the police. But instead, I replied, "Good night," because I was scared. But more than scared, I was curious. The next morning, I went downstairs for coffee. She was already there, sitting by the window with 2 cups waiting, like she knew exactly when I was coming. "I thought you might like it," she said, pushing 1 cup towards me. I wanted to ask a million questions. But the moment she smiled, every sensible thought dissolved into the air like steam from hot coffee. Instead, I said, "Thanks." "Of course," she whispered, as if my gratitude meant everything she ever wanted. She leaned closer again, her voice low, soft, warm enough to melt questions into silence. "You can trust me, you know." I didn't answer, but she smiled as if I did. That smile, later, would become the beginning of everything dark. That evening, I decided to stay home, watch something, maybe distract myself. But distraction is impossible when you feel watched. So I stood on my balcony, staring at the neighboring buildings, trying to breathe normally. Across the street, behind another balcony's railing, I saw a figure. Tall, motionless, just standing, watching. My skin froze. The figure didn't move, didn't hide, just stared. But when I blinked, it was gone. Like it had never been there. Like it shifted into darkness itself. Moments later, I received a message. "Don't be scared. I'm here." My throat locked. My hands shook. I replied, "Is that you?" She answered, "Yes." And then, "You looked cold. Come inside." I wanted to scream, but instead I closed the curtains and sat silently in the darkness of my own fears. That night, I realized something. She wasn't following me. She was surrounding me. My world wasn't mine anymore. It was hers. The next morning didn't feel like a morning at all. My eyes were open, but my body felt heavy, as if sleep refused to leave me. The curtains were closed even though I clearly remembered sleeping with them half open. My phone was placed neatly beside my pillow, screen wiped clean, like someone had polished away fingerprints. And something inside me whispered that I hadn't woken up. I had been woken. For a few seconds, I simply stared at the ceiling, letting my heartbeat settle, trying to decide if the fear I felt was real or just imagination feeding on loneliness. But imagination doesn't move furniture, and imagination doesn't send messages exactly at the moment your heart begins to calm down. And then, right on cue, my phone buzzed. A message from her. Thought about you all night. I sat up, cold spreading through my chest. Not warmth, not butterflies. Cold. And yet somehow I replied with trembling fingers. Same. Why did I write that? Why wasn't I able to tell her to stop? Why couldn't I just say, leave me alone? Maybe because some part of me needed to be needed, even if it was by someone who scared me more than anything I had ever known. Subscribe line after 1 minute. If you're still reading, then you already feel what I'm trapped inside. Just subscribe. Because this chapter only gets worse from here. When I stepped outside my apartment that afternoon, she was already in the hallway, pretending she had just arrived. Her smile stretched slowly, deliberately, like she was savoring every second of my first glance. You look tired, she said softly, studying my eyes too closely. I didn't sleep well. You should, she whispered. You need your strength. I frowned. Strength for what? She just smiled. You'll see. That smile. God, that smile. It wasn't sweet anymore. It was possession disguised as care. We walked down the stairs in silence. She was close to me but not touching, just close enough to feel like she was claiming the air around me. And when we reached the lobby, she suddenly turned toward me and said, You know, I love the way you breathe. I didn't know how to respond to something like that. What does a person say when someone confesses obsession disguised as admiration? Thank you? Stop? Run? But I said nothing, because silence felt safer than honesty. That evening, I locked every window, every door. And still, I felt her presence like a shadow stitched to my senses. I sat in the dark living room, listening to the building's quiet mechanical hum, convinced that if I turned suddenly, I would find her standing right behind me, smiling that impossibly gentle smile that felt more like a threat than affection. Around midnight, I heard footsteps. The soft kind. Careful. Measured. Not walking. Waiting. Listening. I held my breath, counting the space between steps. And then, something brushed the bottom of my apartment door. Something soft. Sliding. I forced myself to look. A note. Folded perfectly. I hesitated, but eventually I picked it up. The handwriting was familiar. You shouldn't be scared of me. I'm the only one who sees you. Sees me? Or watches me? There's a difference. And she was blurring it dangerously. The next morning, I found her sitting at the coffee shop again. Same table, same cup, same waiting. Except this time, she didn't smile immediately. She studied me first, her eyes calm and unreadable. And you don't get to leave them. You only get to survive them. If you're listening to this, if you're hearing what I'm saying, don't fall for the person who notices everything about you. Fall for the one who lets you go.